this is a really flexible solution. It is important to note that some games and apps have unique features that are exclusive to the MetaQuest Pro. For example, some games use hand tracking technology called the Direct Touch, which allows you to use hands instead of controllers to interact with the virtual environment. Other games use the headset's built-in microphone and speakers for voice commands and sound. But what makes the MetaQuest Pro stand out from other VR headsets? For one, the freedom of movement and wireless design allows for a great experience. You can move around and interact with the virtual environment without worrying about tripping over cords or being tethered to a computer. Additionally, the controllers and tracking system contribute to a realistic and responsive gameplay experience. The controllers have ergonomic designs and are easy to use, with features like haptic feedback and finger tracking. The tracking system uses cameras on the headset to track the position of the controllers and your movements, ensuring accuracy and precision. We know that other headsets have these features as well, but the MetaQuest Pro just feels better. Try it out for yourself and give us your feedback. When it comes to VR headsets, connectivity is key. The MetaQuest Pro has several options for connecting the headset to a device, including Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Connecting the headset is a simple process that can be done through the Oculus app. Once connected, the app will guide you through the setup process and help you optimize your settings for the best experience possible. It also features advanced connectivity technology that ensures a smooth and seamless experience. Whether you're playing games or exploring virtual environments, you can be sure that your connection will remain stable and reliable. The battery life has been one area that the device has been criticized. The MetaQuest Pro only lasts about 1 to 2 hours of continuous use. For comparison, the Oculus Quest 2 lasts for about 3 to 4 hours. We think this should be improved for the next iteration. The headset and controllers come with their own charging cables and can be charged using any standard USB charger. It's important to note that the battery life can vary depending on usage and the type of content you're using. For those who plan on using the headset for extended periods of time, it's recommended to invest in a portable charger to ensure that you can stay in the virtual world as long as you desire. When it comes to the pricing options for the MetaQuest Pro, there are a few different choices to consider. The base model currently retails for $1,500, which includes the headset, controllers, and charging cable. However, there are also some bundle options available that include additional accessories. These bundles can range in price depending on the specific accessories included. Compared to other VR headsets on the market, the MetaQuest Pro falls in a higher price range. However, it's important to note that the MetaQuest Pro is a standalone device, meaning that you don't need a powerful gaming PC or console to use it. Other VR headsets on the market may require additional hardware, which can drive up the total cost significantly. For example, the PSVR 2. We've covered a lot of ground in this video, exploring the various features and benefits of the MetaQuest Pro VR headset. From its comfortable design and high-quality display to its precise tracking and expansive content library, the MetaQuest Pro is a truly remarkable piece of technology, even with its lackluster battery life. If you haven't tried the MetaQuest Pro yet, we highly encourage you to do so. Whether you're a seasoned VR enthusiast or a newcomer to the technology, this headset can offer you an experience that is sure to leave a lasting impression. We hope this video has provided
One of the main ways that I like to use Grammarly is to take the stress out of responding to emails. And I used to
You won't believe what these Japanese female robots can do. In Japan, humanoid AI robots could soon become part of the family. These robots are a testament to technological advancements and can do incredible things. From serving as assistants to providing entertainment, these robots are changing our perspective on artificial intelligence. In this video, we shall take a closer look at what these robots are capable of and what their future holds. So sit back, relax, and discover the fantastic world of Japanese female robots. Japanese robotics pioneered the idea of embodied artificial intelligence. While the West was more concerned with abstract algorithms, Japanese institutions believed that AI innovation should be developed alongside or within the physical artificial body. For decades, Japanese robotics have been at the forefront of realizing the dream of creating companion robots for humans. In addition to nursing and befriending robots for the elderly and sick, the Japanese have created robots that can carry heavy loads, fight fires, and provide physical therapy to patients. As we learned in Chapter 9, the Japanese market for sex robots is one of the most developed in the world. Many AI robots being designed are learning to perform multiple functions rather than just one in their most advanced iterations. Erica, regarded as one of the most beautiful and intelligent androids, is reshaping Japan's robot culture. Osaka University, the University of Kyoto, and the Advanced Telecommunications Research Institute International collaborated on this advanced humanoid, ATR. Erica was created by a team led by Hiroshi Ishiguro, a professor at Osaka University's Intelligent Robotics Laboratory. Professor Ishiguro created Erica's facial features using sample images of 30 beautiful women who responded to questions with facial expressions strikingly similar to those of humans. Erica's speech has
clear, sunny day in April 2014, two F-18s took off for an air combat training mission off the coast of Virginia. The jets, part of a Navy fighter squadron, climbed to an altitude of 12,000 and steered towards warning area W72, an exclusive block of airspace 10 miles east of Virginia Beach. All traffic into the training area goes through a single GPS point at a set altitude, almost like a doorway into a massive room where military jets can operate without running into other aircraft. Just as the two jets were about to cross the threshold, one of the pilots saw a dark, grey cube inside of a sphere. Motionless against the wind, fixed directly at the entry point. The jets, only 100 feet apart, zipped past the object on either side. The pilots had come so dangerously close to something they couldn't identify that they terminated the training mission immediately and returned to base.
Orbit. Beyond the blue.
This incident is sure to have given you goosebumps, and it did so to the pilots too, who finally spoke up after almost a decade of the near-miss collision. Back then, there was no Pentagon report on UAPs. Despite the frequency of the encounters and the severe risk posed by the hazard, it took the Navy 5 years to adopt a formal UFO reporting structure. The first batch of these reports, heavily redacted and spanning only a few months in 2019, makes clear that the US government faces a significant challenge. For months before and after the incident, air crews that flew in exclusive use training areas off the US East Coast had frequently observed unknown objects exhibiting highly anomalous flight characteristics. Despite the collision hazard posed by the UFOs, aviators lacked a formal mechanism to report the mysterious objects to higher authorities. In another such incident, an aviator reported that he had never seen anything like this before. In another encounter, an aviator noticed an object with flight characteristics unlike anything I had seen in my redacted years of service. implying a particularly anomalous encounter.
Cake in the break room! Cake in the break room. There's cake in the break room. Going away party from what?
Snap camera, as we all know it, is dead. Snapchat shut down the entire site. It's gone. You can no longer download it. You can't be the dude anymore, or the cartoon you, or just a clown like me. But if you already have it, you can still keep using it. And if you don't, well, there is a way. For anyone just finding this now, Snap Camera is an app that allows you to put masks on your face for videos and live streams. It was created by Snapchat and was removed as of January 25th, 2023. Luckily, we have an amazing community in the live streaming sphere, and there were a few people who were willing to find us a solution. Now, just a word of caution. This is a community-based workaround, and as such, Snapchat could go after them at any time and shut the whole thing down. But they really can't do much about users who already have the app installed. And I'll help the folks that don't already have it in a moment. Just hang in there. For those of you who do have it, you probably noticed that this is what it looks like. Obviously, Feature doesn't have anything. Top Community Lenses doesn't have anything. But if we go up to our favorites, well, we can scroll through, and although they're all blank, we can see that they're there. And if we go into our hotkeys, we can see that hotkeys still exist. So if we use our hotkeys, we can see that all of our regular lenses still work just the same as they did before, which means that this is totally usable. You just can't see the lenses. And you can keep using it like this forever. And if you have lenses that you put in your favorites and you didn't set hotkeys to, well, sure, you don't know what they are. I have a couple right here. You don't know what they are, but you just add a hotkey there, and then you go and use that hotkey to check it out, and then you remember what it was. You can either leave it hotkeyed, or you can just leave it in your favorites. But you can change the hotkeys and move the hotkeys. The only thing you don't have is the imagery to tell you what it is, so you just have to be a little bit creative. But it is still functional, and it's not going away, so it's still 100% totally usable. So if you have hotkeys already assigned to it, you can just continue using all the faces you already have without doing anything. However, it is tough to use that way. I get it. So you could do what I'll show you and the folks who don't have Snap Camera yet next. Now, the first thing you need is the installer, and you need a specific one. It's 1.21 for Snap Camera. And of course, Snap Camera actually took the installer down, so you can't get it from them anymore. So you'll have to source it yourself. And I do have a couple of links in the description, assuming that they still work, which they should, that you can download the install file from. Once you have the file downloaded onto your computer, you want to go ahead and go to this and then drag the file here. And it's going to verify that it is definitely the correct file and that you're not getting a file that's been messed up or has malware in it or anything like that. You need to identify that the file that you find is the correct file, and this is the hashtag that you're going to be looking for. And of course, the links to this page are in the description as well. Once you verify that it is the correct file, you just install it like you would any other install. Then you want to go to this page. Once again, the link is in the description, and you want to choose your file, and this will bring up something like this right here. Your file is going to be in C, Program Files. You want to go down into Snap Incorporated right here, and Snap Camera. And then when we scroll down here, you're going to see your Snap Camera file right here. Select it, click Open, and then all you need to do is apply your patch. And then it downloads the patched file. Now all you have to do is go and find your patched file in your downloads right here. And we're going to right click and we're going to copy that. And we're going to go back into our Snap Camera folder. And we're just going to right click and paste And there we go. So now we have the patched file in here and the original. So what we'll do is we'll take the original file and we'll call this old. And we'll take the patched file and we'll just remove the patched. Now we can just use our original shortcut and it brings this up right here. When we go into our favorites, you see everything is here, and we can actually go through and search for different lenses if we want and that sort of stuff. Now, not all the lenses are going to be there, and there aren't going to be any new lenses created. Basically, someone replicated the original server and is hosting it for us so that we can continue to use this like normal, like we did before. If you go through this process and you patch it, it's going to look just like it did when Snap Camera was active, and you may even be able to find some new lenses that you didn't know about before. So maybe Snap Camera isn't totally dead. And even if the workaround ends up totally dead, well, if you already have it on there, as you've seen in the previous section, it's not the end of the world. Likes and comments are super easy things that you can do to help push this video to a wider audience. So take a second down below and let me know how I'm doing. And while you're there, if you're not subscribed, please do. It really does help me continue to make content that helps you. So thanks. Now I cannot stress enough that this is a workaround. It could go away at any time. However, if it does, you won't lose access to your faces that you already have favorited, and the hotkeys will still work them. Now, I am searching for alternatives all the time for Snap Camera. I'm going to have a new video out with potential replacements soon. But if you want to see one that I already found, you should check this video out. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks that can help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Fire Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Densify from Crest Pro Health. Like your bones, your teeth lose density over time. Crest Densify works to fill microscopic weak spots and actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth. Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
Already have favorited, and the hotkeys will still work them. Now, I am searching for alternatives all the time for Snap Camera. I'm going to have a new video out with potential replacements soon. But if you want to see one that I already found, you should check this video out. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks that can help, Snap Camera is disappearing on January 25th. So what alternatives are there to replace it? I'll show you a free option today and tell you if I think it's a worthy replacement. YouTube friends, the app I want to show you today is called Animaze. It's totally free to use, and there is a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. So let's install it. Alright, here we are on the Animaze install page, and there is a link down below in the description so you can check it out for yourself. Of course, it does say try Animaze free over here on the left, and all you have to do is click on that button right there, and you'll see it downloading down in the bottom left-hand corner. Once it's finished downloading, we just have to go to our downloads folder and double-click on it. And we'll get the license agreement. We just have to click I agree and then next to select the folder you want to install it to. Then we click install, and after a few seconds it's done installing. We can check the box that adds the shortcut to our desktop and just click finish, and it's all installed, sort of. When we double click it on our desktop, it's going to bring this up right here, and obviously we have to install Animaze. You can also install the Animaze editor if you like. For this video, I'm just going to install Animaze. So I just click on install Animaze, and it takes a couple of moments, but once it's finished, it's just going to pop right up, and all you have to do is click start, likes, and comments are super easy things that you can do to help push this video to a wider audience. So take a second down below and let me know how I'm doing. And while you're there, if you're not subscribed, please do. It really does help me continue to make content that helps you. So thanks. Now we have it installed, let me show you how simple it is to set up and use. Once you click on the start button, it's going to bring this up. You can just click OK and then OK. Starts out with the little doggy here. On the right hand side you can see that my face is there and it has a bunch of little dots on it. And probably the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and click that little calibrate button under your camera. I didn't actually do that, and they do function slightly better when you actually calibrate it, but for now I'm just kind of looking through the avatars. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the avatar, and it takes a moment or so for it to load. And you can scroll through these, and there are quite a few. All you have to do is click on one, it will load it up. And of course it comes up with tips and stuff all the time to let you know how to do different things. You can actually adjust the skin color on these, ear size. There's all kinds of little things that you can do to adjust these. And we'll scroll through and take a look at another one. This one's kind of interesting. And we've got some anime ones, a whole bunch of different anime ones. So let's start out trying to mess around with this. We can go into props and add different props to it just by clicking on the prop. And who wouldn't want an axe hat once in a while? And you can get rid of the prop just by clicking on that little circle with the line through it. Or you can just click back and don't save, and it will go back to just the regular character. And there are also lots of backgrounds that you can select to put behind your character. And when you finally have the character selected that you want, all you have to do is click the little button down here. It will actually bring up a tutorial if you want to watch it. But setting this up in OBS is fairly simple and straightforward. So all you have to do is click on here, and this little countdown box comes up above it. So we'll pop open OBS real quick. And all we have to do is under our scenes, click the plus, and we're going to go ahead and add a video capture device, and we'll just call this animes. We drop this down and we select the animes camera, and there we go. It drops right in. It doesn't have any background right now, so what we're going to do is go back in here. We'll go to our backgrounds, and I'm just going to scroll down and select the green screen background. Go back over into OBS, and right click on our animes camera, and go to filters. Then I'm going to click the plus, and we're going to select the chroma key right here under effect filters, and that will remove the background. And we can move this obviously around anywhere we want. We can make it bigger or smaller. It's very simple to manipulate this. Now I'm going to flip back over, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and click start calibration. We'll calibrate it up and see if that gives us a little better movement. And it kind of does, but it's still pretty deadpan. And let's look at a couple of other ones here. This one here is totally deadpan, even after calibrating it. There's this one here, it's kind of cute. And what I can actually do is go ahead and click on the plus and add a background image. And we can put her in my regular background. And they look pretty nice, but they're, even with the calibration, they just don't have very much life to them. Now, I'm absolutely sure you can hotkey these to change them around while you're streaming and all that stuff, but that was as far as I went with it. I can explore it further and do a full video on using it if you guys want. Just let me know in the comments. I personally won't be using it though, which is why I just stopped there. So why won't I be using it? For me, it's pretty simple. Keep in mind, this channel is about live streaming, not having fun on Zoom calls. With Snap Camera, when I put on a mask, it's me in a mask. It shows my emotion, my expression, and it adds to my personality. When I put on a mask in animes, it's not me. It's a stiff, lifeless character that completely replaces me. Now, maybe that's adequate for folks looking to do VR app. Snap Camera, as we all know it, is dead. Snapchat shut down the entire site. It's gone. You can no longer download it. You can't be the dude anymore, or the cartoon you, or just a clown like me. But if you already have it, you can still keep using it. And if you don't, well, there is a way. For anyone just finding this now, Snap Camera is an app that allows you to put masks on your face for videos and live streams. It was created by Snapchat and was removed as of January 25th, 2023. Luckily, we have an amazing community in the live streaming sphere, and there were a few people who were willing to find us a solution. Now, just a word of caution, this is a community-based workaround, and as such, Snapchat could go after them at any time and shut the whole thing down. But
season long, live, and cable-free. With YouTube TV, try it free.
The U.S. just announced that it turned over control of the most maneuverable F-16 in its arsenal to an artificial intelligence fighter pilot. And according to reports, it successfully flew no fewer than a dozen simulated air combat missions this past December. Let's talk about America's newest dogfighting AI. I'm Alex Hollings, and this is Air Power. So I'll level with you guys. I had a whole script put together diving into all 3 intercepts that took place last weekend and breaking down the most likely explanations for each. But then this story came across my desk, and it's just too big to put off. But if you guys are really interested in hearing my take on those intercepts, let me know, and I'll try to post a slightly abbreviated version early next week. But for now, let's dive back into this AI news, because over a 2-week span this past December, a heavily modified F-16D Fighting Falcon took to the skies no fewer than a dozen times with an empty cockpit and artificial intelligence at the stick. The AI fighter pilots in this aircraft came from 2 different efforts. The first from DARPA's Air Combat Evolution, or ACE program, that you probably have heard of before, and the second from the Air Force Research Laboratory's Autonomous Air Combat Operations program, or AACO. With these AI algorithms at the stick, this very cool thrust-vectoring F-16 flew in a variety of air combat operations, including close quarters, within visual range dogfights, and beyond visual range engagements. This successful series of tests marks a huge leap towards the advanced AI teaming that we've come to expect as a part of the next generation of fighters. With the U.S. and a number of foreign allies and competitors alike all aiming to couple their next stealth jets with scores of specially equipped drone wingmen. And while it really seems as though the Air Force just proved this concept is not only possible, but downright feasible, the truth is the implications extend way beyond that. The term drones often encompasses everything from semi-autonomous data collectors to advanced remotely piloted aircraft, and they've been around for almost as long as aircraft themselves. English inventor Dr. Archibald Lowe is often credited with fielding the world's first powered drone, an aerial target that first flew in 1917, just 14 years after the Wright brothers' first flight over Kitty Hawk. And while drones of various sorts have played a variety of roles in conflicts dating all the way back to the First World War, there's a really reasonable argument to be made that the era of drones began on July 1st of 1995. When the General Atomics MQ-1 Predator first entered operational service. In a real way, the Predator took the concept of seemingly ever-present eyes, ears, and firepower in the sky over conflict zones out of the realm of dystopian science fiction and plunged it straight into the hard-boiled reality of America's multi-theater global war on terror. Equipped for 24-hour operations inside the uncontested airspace of places like Iraq and Afghanistan, the Predator's multispectral targeting system, made up of an infrared sensor, a color and monochrome daylight TV camera, an image-intensified TV camera, a laser designator, and a laser illuminator, all provided Predator crews with all the data they need to collect valuable intel, or, when called for, to deliver holy hell from on high via its 2 laser-guided AGM-114 Hellfire missiles. The MQ-1 Predator's success soon led to an upgraded iteration of the platform, adding 10 feet to the
COVID-19 and being overweight makes it more risky. I'm calling my doctor. If it's COVID, Paxlovid.
Authorized for emergency use, Paxlovid is an oral treatment for people 12 and up who have mild to moderate COVID-19.
Does an artificially intelligent chatbot understand what it's chatting about? A year ago, I'd have answered this question with clearly not. It's just a turbocharged autocomplete, or a stochastic parrot, as people more eloquent than me have put it, though for all I know, they too might be chatbots. But I've now arrived at the conclusion that the AIs that we use today do understand what they're doing, if not very much of it. I'm not saying this just to be controversial. I actually believe it, I believe, though I have a feeling I might come to regret this video. I got hung up on this question not because I care so much about chatbots, but because it echoes the often-made claim that no one understands quantum mechanics. But if we can use quantum mechanics, then doesn't that mean that we understand it, at least to some extent? And consequently, if an AI can use language, then doesn't that mean it understands it, at least to some extent? What do we mean by understanding? Does ChatGPT understand quantum mechanics? And will AI soon be conscious? That's what we'll talk about today. The question whether a computer program understands what it's doing certainly isn't new. In 1980, the American philosopher John Searle argued that the answer is no, using a thought experiment that's become known as the Chinese room. Searle imagines himself in a windowless room with a rulebook and a Dropbox. If someone drops him a note written in Chinese, he looks up the symbols in his rulebook. The rulebook gives him an English translation, which he returns as an answer through a slit in the door, no doubt drawing on the everyday experience of a professor of philosophy. Searle argues that the person outside the room might believe that there's someone inside who understands Chinese. But really, he still doesn't understand a word of it. He's just following the rules he's been given. Searle argues that a computer program works like that, without any true understanding, just following the rules. There are two standard objections that people bring forward against Searle's argument. One is that the system which understands Chinese isn't just the person inside the room, but the person including the rulebook. So saying that the person doesn't understand Chinese might be correct, but doesn't answer the question, because in Searle's analogy, the person alone doesn't represent the computer program. Another objection is that it might well be correct that Searle and his rulebook don't understand Chinese, but that's because the input is so limited. Language lacks the physical information that we have learned to associate with words. A software that had the same physical information could develop understanding as we do. Unless, of course, we live in a computer simulation, in which case you can file complaints using the contact form in the bottom right corner of your frontal lobe. I think both of these objections miss the point, but before I explain that, I want to introduce you to the quantum room. Quantum mechanics works pretty much like Searle's Chinese room. It's a rule book, a set of equations with instructions for how to use them. You give me a question, I look into my rule book that I keep in my windowless room, and I return an answer to you through the slit in the door. Do I understand quantum mechanics? Searle would probably argue no. Indeed, for the most part, physicists today aren't even in the room, because who wants to spend their time sitting in a windowless room with a Dropbox when they can instead sit in a windowless room with a laser? No, we're now the ones putting a question into the Dropbox, so to speak, by feeding it into a computer. The computer crunches the numbers and returns an answer. Do we understand those answers? Have we gone too far with shut up and calculate? Is the room even there when no one looks? Those are all very interesting questions, but let's not get carried away. We were trying to talk about chatbots, so let's have a look at those. Today's language-generating models are somewhat more sophisticated than just lookup tables like Searle imagined. And what better way is there to explain how they work than asking one itself?
Language-generating models, like me, are built using deep learning techniques, specifically a type of neural network. These models are trained on large amounts of text data, such as books, articles, and websites, and learn to generate language by identifying patterns and relationships between words and phrases. When generating language, the model takes an initial input, such as a prompt or a question, and uses the patterns it has learned to generate a response. The generated text is not simply copied from the training data, but rather the model uses the patterns it has learned to create new, original text.
Well, that was not awkward at all. But yes, neural networks indeed learn similar to how humans learn. They don't just memorize input, they identify patterns and extrapolate them. They still have many differences to the human brain, at least at the moment. Most importantly, the neurons in a neural network are themselves part of the algorithm and not physical as they are in the human brain. And the human brain has a lot more structure with parts specialized for particular purposes. But neural networks do capture some aspects of how humans learn. And that brings us to the first important point when it comes to the question of understanding. Suppose you have children in elementary school and have them memorize the multiplication tables up to 10. If you want to test whether they understood multiplication, you ask them something that wasn't on the tables. We want to test whether they have identified the pattern and can use it on something else. If you're in the Chinese room with a long list of examples, you can't answer a question that isn't on the list. This is indeed not what anyone means by understanding, so I'd say Searle is right on that account, but this is not what neural networks do. Neural networks do instead exactly what we mean by understanding when we apply it to humans. They extract the pattern and apply it to something they haven't seen before. But this brings up another question. How do you know that that's what it's doing? If you ask a child to multiply two numbers, how do you know they haven't just memorized the result? Well, you don't. If you want to know whether someone or something understands, looking at the input and output isn't enough. You could always produce the output by a lookup table rather than with a system that has learned to identify patterns. And you can well understand something without producing any output, like you might understand this video without any output other than maybe the occasional frown. I'd therefore say that what we mean by understanding something is the ability to create a useful model of the thing we're trying to understand. The model is something I have in my head that I can ask questions about the real thing, and that it's useful means it has to be reasonably correct. It captures at least some properties of the real thing. In mathematical terms, you might say there's an isomorphism, a one-to-one map between the model and the real thing. I have a model, for example, for cows. Cows stand on meadows, have 4 legs, and sometimes go moo. If you pull in the right place, milk comes out. Not a particularly sophisticated model, I admit, but I'll work on it once cows start watching YouTube. Understanding, then, is something that happens inside a system. You can probe parts of this understanding with input-output tests, but that alone can't settle the question. When we're talking about neural networks, however, we actually know they're not lookup tables because we've programmed them and trained them. So we can be pretty sure they actually must have a model of the thing they've been trained for somewhere in their neural weights. In fact, at this moment in the history of mankind, we can be more confident that neural nets understand something than your average first grader, because for all we can tell, the first graders just ask a chatbot. Let's then look at the question of who understands what and why. We have a model of the human body in our brain. This allows us to understand what effects our movements will have, how humans move in general, and which parts belong where. We notice immediately if something is off. But if you train an AI on two-dimensional images, it doesn't automatically map those images onto a 3D model. This is why it'll sometimes create weird things, like people with half a leg or 3 arms or something like that. This, for example, is MeatCanyon trying to show a person tying their shoelaces. They look kind of right, because it's what the AI was trained to do, to produce an image that looks kind of right, but they don't actually capture the real thing. If you take understanding to mean that it has a model of what's going on, then these AIs almost certainly understand the relation between shadows and lights. But does it know that shadows and light are created by electromagnetic radiation bouncing off or being absorbed by three-dimensional bodies? It can't, because it never got that information. You can instead give an AI a 3D model and train it to match images to that 3D model. This is basically how deepfakes work. And in this case, I'd say that the AI actually does partly understand the motion of certain body parts. The issue with chatbots is more complicated because language is much more loosely tied to reality than videos or photographs. Language is a method that humans have invented to exchange information about these models that we have in our own heads. Written language is, moreover, a reduced version of spoken language. It does capture some essence of reality in relations between words, and if you train a neural network on that, it'll learn those relations, but a lot of information will be missing. Take the sentence, "What goes up must come down." That's, for reasonably common initial conditions, a statement about Newton's law of gravity. Further text analysis might tell you that by down we mean towards the ground, and that the ground is a planet called Earth, which is a sphere, and so on. From that alone, you may have no idea what any of these words mean, but you know how they are related. And indeed, if you ask ChatGPT what happens when you throw a stone into the air, it'll tell you the blandly obvious in several flawlessly correct paragraphs. But a language model can't do more than try to infer relations between words because it didn't get any other data. This is why ChatGPT is ridiculously bad at anything that requires, for example, understanding spatial relationships, like latitude. I asked it whether Windsor, UK is further north or south than Toronto, Canada, and it told me,
Windsor is located at approximately 51.5 degrees north latitude, while Toronto is located at approximately 43.7 degrees north latitude. Therefore, Toronto is further north than Windsor.
It'll quote the latitudes correctly, but draw the exactly wrong conclusion. It's a funny mistake because it'd be easy to fix by equipping it with a three-dimensional model of planet Earth. But it doesn't have such a model. It only knows relations between words. For the same reason, ChatGPT has some rather elementary misunderstandings about quantum mechanics. But let me ask you first. Imagine you have two entangled particles and you separate them. One goes left and the other goes right, but like couples after a fight, they're still linked whether they want to or not. That they are entangled means that they share a measurable property, but you
Switch to Verizon and get Welcome Unlimited for just $25 a line, guaranteed for 3 years.
The advent of artificial intelligence has been one of the most transformative developments in modern times. It has revolutionized the way we live, work, and communicate, and it is only getting more powerful with each passing day. In this video, we will explore the history of AI, its current state, and the potential future implications of this rapidly developing technology. The idea of creating machines that could think like humans can be traced back to ancient times. The Greek philosopher Aristotle was among the first to speculate about the possibility of creating an artificial intelligence. However, it was not until the mid-20th century that the modern era of AI began. In the early days of AI, researchers focused on developing rule-based systems that could perform simple tasks, such as playing chess
or solving mathematical problems. However, as computers became more powerful and sophisticated, researchers began to explore the possibility of creating AI systems that could learn from experience. One of the most significant breakthroughs in the history of AI came in the 1980s for the development of neural networks. Neural networks are computer systems that are modeled on the structure of the human brain. They can learn from experience and can recognize patterns in data. Since then, AI has continued to evolve rapidly, with new breakthroughs and applications emerging every year. Today, AI is more powerful and ubiquitous than ever before. We are surrounded by AI systems in our daily lives, whether we realize it or not. Some of the most common examples of AI in action include virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa, which use natural language processing to understand and respond to our commands. Recommendation engines used by companies like Amazon and Netflix, which use AI to analyze our browsing and viewing history and suggest products or content that we might be interested in. Self-driving cars, which use a combination of sensors, machine learning, and computer vision to navigate the road and avoid obstacles. And of course, the rise of ChatGPT and other AI chatbots. However, AI is not without its challenges and limitations. One of the biggest challenges facing the AI field today is the issue of bias. Because AI systems are trained on large amounts of data, they can sometimes perpetuate biases that are present in the data. Look at ChatGPT, in which you can literally gaslight it to the point where it believes 2 + 2 = 5. Another challenge facing the AI field is the issue of explainability. As AI systems become more complex, it can be difficult for humans to understand how they arrived at a particular decision. This lack of transparency can be a problem in applications like healthcare or finance, where decisions made by AI systems can have serious consequences. As AI continues to evolve, it is likely that we will see even more transformative applications in the future. Some of the potential implications of AI include healthcare, education, transportation, and entertainment. For healthcare, AI could revolutionize this industry by helping doctors to diagnose diseases more accurately and quickly. AI could also be used to develop personalized treatment plans for patients based on their genetic information. Within education, AI could be used to create personalized learning experiences for students, adapting the pace and content of lessons to each student's individual needs and abilities. For transportation, self-driving cars can make our roads safer and more efficient by reducing the number of accidents caused by human error. Self-driving trucks could also revolutionize the shipping industry by making deliveries faster and more efficient. Finally, for entertainment, AI could be used to create more immersive and personalized entertainment experiences, such as virtual reality games that adapt to each player's preferences and behavior. However, with all of this said, there are also potential risks associated with the continued development of AI. One of the biggest concerns is the potential impact on employment. As AI systems become more advanced, they will replace human workers in many industries, leading to job loss and economic disruption. Another concern is the potential for AI systems to be used for malicious purposes. For example, AI-powered cyber attacks could be more sophisticated and harder to detect than traditional cyber attacks. To mitigate these risks and ensure that AI is developed in a responsible and ethical way, many researchers and policymakers are calling for increased regulation and oversight of the AI field. Another potential consequence associated with the evolution of AI is the possible ethical and societal implications this technology brings. For example, some researchers have raised concerns about the potential for AI to perpetuate existing social and economic inequalities. If AI systems are trained on biased data, they may replicate and even amplify these biases in their decision-making. This can lead to AI holding radical beliefs and thoughts, or having inhumanly knowledge on the current and future economic climate and state of society. To address these concerns, many researchers and policymakers are advocating for greater transparency and accountability in the development and use of AI. This includes developing ethical guidelines for AI research and ensuring that AI systems are designed to be fair, unbiased, and transparent. It also includes educating the public about the potential benefits and risks of AI and engaging in a public dialogue about how best to harness this technology for the benefit of all. The advent of AI has already had a profound impact on our world, and its potential implications for the future are both exciting and daunting. As we continue to explore the possibilities of this transformative technology, it is important that we do so in a responsible and ethical way, with a focus on maximizing the benefits while minimizing the risks. For reference, this entire script for this video was written by ChatGPT, with only marginal editing done by me. AI has the potential to streamline and make current jobs more efficient. However, if it goes too far, it could bring the downfall of our society.
Just downloaded a game that says,